Hello, one and all. Today we're going to discuss the chapter Glimpses of India, which consists of three stories: a baker from Goa, Coorg, and tea from Assam. So, glimpses means a jhalak, a glance. So, we are going to get a glance of India through three different stories. First, let's delve deep into the story A Baker from Goa, written by Lucio Rodriguez. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days. So, reminiscing means recollecting or remembering with pleasure or fondly remembering the past. The Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. So, what is the loaf? A loaf of bread is the entire piece of baked bread before slicing. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. So they're saying the art of baking bread was brought in by the Portuguese. Though they have left India, the art of baking bread has remained. We still have amongst us the mixers, the molders, and those who bake the loaves. Those age old, time tested furnaces still exist. So, furnace is that oven in which the breads are baked. So, the same age old techniques are still used now in certain parts of Goa. The fire in the furnaces has not yet been extinguished. Extinguished means put off. So, those practices are still prevalent, is what we are trying to say. Baking through those age old methods. The thud and jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo heralding his arrival in the morning can still be heard in some places. So, what is heralding? Heralding is indicating or signaling. So, the arrival of the baker was signaled or indicated by the beating of the bamboo stick. So, the author says that even today, in certain parts, it is still heard. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. So the family profession of baking is continued and taken over by the son. These bakers are even today known as peddlers in Goa. So the author is being nostalgic and saying that during our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. So they had a close relationship with the baker, which is not present now. He used to come at least twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his selling round, and then again when he returned after emptying the huge basket. So, how often they used to meet the baker? Twice a day. Once in the morning and once in the evening, once he had emptied his sales. The jingling thud of his bamboo woke us up from sleep and we ran to meet and greet him. Why was it so? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. The loaves were bought by some paskin or bastin or the maid servant of the house. Why did they run to meet and greet the baker? Was it to buy the loaf of bread? No. It was to buy bread bangles. What we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. So here two questions can come. What was the indication of the baker's arrival? The jingling thud of the bamboo stick. And why did the children get excited and run to meet the baker? Because they yearned or longed for those bread bangles that they chose carefully, or sometimes it was for the sweet bread that was baked specially. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with a jang jang sound of specially made bamboo stuff. One hand supported the basket on his head, and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. He would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on the vertical bamboo. So, this was his ritual of how he would come and greet the lady of the house. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke. So, what is a mild rebuke means? A mild disapproval because of their behavior. You can imagine the scene, right? Of children rushing to meet the baker and they would slightly be pushed aside and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. But we would not give up. We would climb a bench or the parapet, that is a raised platform, and peep into the basket because they were inquisitive to see what is inside, what fresh baked good is there. Somehow I can still recall the typical fragrances of those loaves. So he would still be reminded of the sweet smell, that is the fragrance of freshly baked goods. Globes for the elders and the bangles for the children. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouth properly. And why should we? So, why didn't they care to brush their teeth or wash their mouth properly? Because they did not want to take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush. Or they didn't think it was necessary because he thought that the tiger never brushed his teeth and hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. So these were the reasons given for not brushing the teeth, and they believed that the loaves of bread were for the elders, but the bread bangles were for them. So here the author describes about why bread is an integral part of their lives. Let's see why. Marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as bowl. Gifts are meaningless without this. Just as a party or a feast loses its charm without bread. So it is even an important part in party and in a feast. Not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village. The lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagement. So, again, bread plays a vital role here. Cakes and bolinas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. So, baking is totally intertwined in their lives. They cannot be separated, it plays an integral role. So, in the next paragraph, they're talking about the appearance of the baker. The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as the kabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. In our childhood, we saw bakers wearing a shirt and a trouser which were shorter than full length ones and longer than half pants. So, like what we say capris now, right? Capris, that is three-fourths. So, that is what was worn by the bakers during those days. A shirt and a three-fourth length trouser. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knee invites the comment that he is dressed like a father or a baker. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. So payments were not done. immediately. It was on a monthly basis. Monthly accounts used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. Oh, this is a unique way of writing the account, isn't it? Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days because people depended on these baked goods. So, definitely, it would be a profitable profession. The baker and his family never starved, they never went hungry. His family, and his servants always looked happy and prosperous. Their plump physique, so they looked quite healthy, was an open testimony to this. So, testimony is evidence or proof that they were well fed and they never had to starve or face any money crisis. Even today, any person with a jackfruit like physical appearance is easily compared to a baker. So, anyone who is healthy, who is quite plump and fat, is compared to a baker. So, through this story, we got a glimpse of how important baked goods are in Goa and how the Portuguese influence was to include baking in their lives. Now, let's move to Coorg. This story is written by Lokesh Abrol. Midway between Mysore and coastal town of Mangalore sits a piece of heaven that must have drifted from the kingdom of God. So the author has started with the location of where Coorg is. It is midway between Mysore and Mangalore. And the author says that this place would have drifted from the kingdom of God, maybe because of its scenic beauty. It is so picturesque. Picturesque means a picture like. This land of rolling hills is inhabited by a proud race of martial men, beautiful women, and wild creatures. So, this place has men who are quite strong and well versed in martial arts. The women are considered to be beautiful, and it has rich biodiversity, which is a lot of wild creatures. Coorg is otherwise known as Kodagu, the smallest district of Karnataka, is home to evergreen forest, spices, and coffee plantations. Evergreen forests cover 30% of the district. So there is a lot of greenery in Coorg. During the monsoons, it pours enough to keep many visitors away. So during monsoons, it rains a lot. The season of joy commences means starts from September and continues till March. So this is the perfect months to visit. The weather is perfect with some showers thrown in for good measure. The air breathes of invigorating coffee. What is invigorating? Something that induces energy. So the aroma of coffee brings in a lot of energy in people. Coffee estates and colonial bungalows stand tucked under tree canopies. So tree canopies when the tree totally forms like a roof over the head is called a tree canopy. In prime corners, prime means main areas. They say no prime locations. So until now, the author has spoken about the location, what it is famous for, the best time to visit, and now let's see why it is unique. The fiercely independent people of Coorg are possibly of Greek or Arabic descent. So they are saying they are quite unique and independent. So there is a possibility that they are actually descendants from either Greek or Arabic. As one story goes, a part of Alexander's army, moved south along the coast and settled here when return became impractical. So, when they could not return or when they felt it was impractical, they just settled in this area. Who? Alexander's army. These people married amongst the locals, and their culture is apparent in the martial traditions, marriage, and religious rites, which are distinct from the Hindu mainstream. So, the people of Coorg don't follow the main Hindu traditions that are followed otherwise. So, the possible reason given is that the Alexander's army settled there, married with the locals there, and inculcated a part of their traditions also among the locals. And that is apparent. Apparent is evident in the martial traditions, their marriages, and the religious rites that are followed. Another theory that supports that it has Arab origin is drawn from the long black coat. See, you get a picture here with an embroidered waist belt worn by the Kodavos, known as kupia. It resembles the kupia worn by the Arabs and the Kurds. So, this also gives us an evidence that those people could be descendants from Arabs because of their attire. Attire means the dress that they wear. Coorgi homes have a tradition of hospitality. So they are known to be good hosts, and they are more than willing to recount numerous tales of valor related to their sons and fathers. And they are ever ready to narrate stories of valor means bravery related to their sons and fathers. The Coorg regiment is one of the most decorated in the Indian Army. And the first chief of the Indian Army, General Cariappa, was a Coorgi. So that is why decorated means honored. Because the first chief of the Indian Army, who is General Cariappa, was from Coorg. This could be a question. Even now, Kodavus are the only people in India permitted to carry firearms without a license. So, this is also something unique about them, that only they are allowed to carry firearms or guns without a license. The river Kaveri obtains its water from the hills and forest of Coorg. Mahasir, a large freshwater fish, abound in these waters. There are plenty of this fish that is found in these waters. Kingfishers dive for their catch, while squirrels and langurs drop partially eaten fruit for the mischief of enjoying the splash and the ripple effect in the clear water. So, what is ripple effect? When you drop something in water, it forms these concentric circles like this. So they enjoy these ripple effects in the water. Elephants enjoy being bathed and scrubbed in the river by their mahouts. So mahouts are the people who take care of these elephants. So here it shows of how rich Coorg is in its flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means animals. The most laid back individuals. So, who are these laid back individuals? People who are usually relaxed or who are very easygoing, become converts to the life of high energy adventure. So, even these relaxed people come and try these adventure sports such as river rafting, canoeing, rappelling, rock climbing, and mountain biking. Numerous walking trails in this region are a favorite with the trekkers, or people who go trekking. Birds, bees, and butterflies are there to give you company. Macaques, macaques are a type of monkey. Malabar squirrels, langurs, and slender loris keep a watchful eye from the tree canopies. There are a lot of animals also that are present. I do, however, prefer to step aside for wild elephants because since they are wild, they are unpredictable. The climb to the Brahmagiri hills bring you into a panoramic view of the entire misty landscape of Coorg. So the author here has used imagery where you can imagine all the scenes what the author is trying to tell us. A walk across the rope bridge leads to the 64-acre island of Nisarga Dhama, running into Buddhist monks from India's largest Tibetan settlement. At nearby Bailakupe is a bonus. The monks in red, ochre, and yellow robes are amongst the many surprises that wait to be discovered by the visitors searching for the heart and soul of India right here in Coorg. So, here the author is explaining why Coorg is so unique or distinct, and is also telling about many unexplored things, such as the presence of Buddhist monks, which is the largest settlements of Tibetans in Coorg. I bet each one of us are allured to go to Coorg after reading the story, isn't it? So now let's move to the tea estates from Assam. So the story Tea from Assam is written by Arup Kumar Datta. So this story has two main characters. One is Pranjol, who resides in Assam, and he is taking his friend Rajveer, who lives in Delhi, to his tea estate, which is managed by his father. So let's go into the story. Chai garam, garam chai. A vendor calls out in a high pitched voice. So, hot tea. So, a vendor is calling out loud and selling tea. He came up to their window and asked, Chai Sahab, give us 2 cups, Ranjol said. So, they're traveling by train, and the tea vendor has asked them if they want tea, and they bought it. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea too. So, this shows that everybody enjoys a cup of tea. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? Rajveer said. So, this is giving out facts of how much tea is drunk by the people around the world on a daily basis. Phew! Exclaimed Pranjol. Tea really is very popular. The train pulled out of the station. Pranjol buried his nose in his detective book again. Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective stories. So even Rajveer was enthusiastic or passionate about reading. But at the moment, he was keener on looking at the beautiful scenery or the landscape. So the landscape allured him or attracted him more than books which he enjoyed reading. It was green, green everywhere. Rajveer had never seen so much greenery before. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. So the landscape changed slowly from green paddy fields to tea bushes. It was a magnificent view. Again, the backdrop of densely wooded hills, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. Oh, it stretched very long distances. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amongst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. So, for the tea plants, large trees were planted so that they could give shade to these tea bushes, and these doll-like figures which moved were actually the tea pickers. In the distance was an ugly building with smoke billowing out of the tall chimneys. So, this is the tea factory where they process tea. Hey, a tea garden, Rajveer cried excitedly. So, Rajveer is all excited to see because it is a novel experience for him. He has never experienced all of this. Novel is new. Pranjol, who had been born and brought up on a plantation, didn't share Rajveer's excitement because it was a daily routine for him to see it. Oh, this is a tea country now, he said. Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. So, here Rajveer has been reading a lot about tea estates and he was stating facts. I have been reading so much as I could about tea, Rajveer said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. So there are many stories regarding the origin of tea. What legends? So the first story is how tea was accidentally discovered in China. Well, there's the one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It is said they were tea leaves. So, here, accidentally, these tea leaves fell into the boiling water and made the drink delicious, and that is how they believe that tea was accidentally discovered. So, tell me another scoff pranjol. Scoffed means in a sense of making fun. We have an Indian legend too, Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic. Ascetic is a monk or a hermit. हम सन्यासी बोलते हैं ना? Yeah, that. Cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids, and the leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. So, this was another story about how tea originated in India. Tea was first drunk in China, Rajveer added, as far back as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, that is chai, and chini, are from Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as a medicine rather than a beverage. So he's stating all the facts that he has read. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way into the crowded platform. So they had reached their destination. Pranjol's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Bhekia Bari, the tea garden managed by Pranjol's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. They crossed a cattle bridge and entered Bhekia Bari tea estate. So finally, they had reached their location after an hour. So it was an hour long travel from the railway station. On both sides of the gravel road, gravel means small stones, were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Pruned means carefully cut to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. So these are the sights that they saw on the way. Pranjol's father slowed down to allow a tractor pulling a trailer load of tea leaves to pass. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer asked. It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjol's father said in surprise. Pranjol's father was surprised to know that Rajveer, who's coming to a tea estate for the first time, had so much knowledge. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted, but I hope to learn much more while I'm here. So Rajveer seemed much curious and inquisitive to learn more about tea and how it is grown. That is the end of all three stories. Such beautiful stories there were, isn't it? I'm really proud of you for spending time and studying through YouTube and putting that extra effort to get good grades. God bless you and remember that I'm praying for you. Take care.